Okay, welcome to a lesson on how to reflect a shape across a line. We've done some basic things with this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by putting a triangle up here in quadrant number 2. And I'm going to say that the rule for my reflection line is y equals -2. And this is a rule that tells me where to draw the line. So what I have to do with this is I need to create the line based on points. So on the Cartesian grid, I can put points on the grid, and we know that they all have the coordinates of x, comma, y. So this rule here, x or y equals -2, is telling me what value to put into my y position for any dot that fits on that line. So I'm just going to come up with some random numbers here. I'm just going to pick a positive x value, so I'm going to pick +4. And now in order to find my y value, I need to use my rule, and my rule here says that my y value needs to be -2. So I'm going to go 4 and -2. And so that's the coordinate of my first point. So I'm just going to put that point in there. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4 in the x direction, and down 2 or -2 in the y direction. And that is my first point that would be on the line that I would use for my reflection. Now I'm going to pick my second x value, and I always like to take my positive value of x and then do the negative of the same value. So I'm going to pick -4. And again, I'm going to use this rule of y equals -2. Oh, that tells me that my y value needs to be -2. So again, I'm going to count out where this goes, and it's going to be -4, -1, -2, -3, -4, and -2, -1, -2. And so that is going to be where the second dot that I'm going to use to draw my reflection line is going to be located. So I can put a line there. You see that I'm extending my line through those points because the line doesn't necessarily stop on those points. And I'm going to change that to a different color just so it's a little easier to see. And we'll make that green. So that's my reflection line. Now, in order to do the reflection, remember we have to make sure that our points that are on one side of the line, the image of those points are on the same distance on the other side of the reflection line. So I'm going to take this point, and it's 1, 2, 3 units away. So I go 1, 2, 3 units away, put its dot. And so if this was A, then this one is going to be A prime. And the prime indicates or shows that this is not the original, but it's an image of it. If this one is B, I'm going to go 1, 2. It's 3 units away from the reflection line as well, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And this would be B prime. And I'm not going to do C at the moment just because it's going to go off of my grid, but C prime would be well underneath my grid, and I would need to have a larger grid to do that. So now I'd like to show you how to do a point or a line that gives me a different rule. It's going to be a rule that tells me what happens based on the x value. So if I use y equals x, what that's telling me is for my coordinates, whatever value x is, the y value is exactly the same. So again, I'm going to pick a couple of points. I'm going to stick with what I was doing. So 4 in my x coordinate. So if the value of x is 4, this rule tells me that my y needs to be exactly the same. So I have a coordinate of 4, 4. So if I was to put that on my grid, I'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that would be one point that lands on my line of reflection. And now if I did -4, then my rule tells me that my y value also needs to be -4. So I can take that dot, or that point, and I go -1, -2, -3, -4, -1, -2, -3, -4. Now what I'll do is I'll put a line through there, and this time I'll just use a blue one. And this would be my reflection line. Now I want you to think about when you get ready for school in the morning. When you get ready for school, you usually look in a mirror, or most people do. If I were looking in a mirror, I don't look at the mirror from an angle. I always look straight into my mirror. So with that in mind, I need to take all of my points, and let's label this as A, B, and C. And my reflection needs to be exactly the same distance on the opposite side of my reflection line. So if I was to look at C here, I see that it's 1.5 boxes away, and I'm going to go one box on this side, and so my point is going to go right here, and of course that is A prime. I'm going to do the same thing for C. I can tell that it's a half of a block away, and you'll see when I look at this reflection line, I'm looking at it as a 90-degree angle. So I'm going to go a half on the other side, and I'm going to put my point C prime. And B, I'm going to again look 90 degrees. It just happens to follow this hypotenuse of this triangle, so it's going to go one full box, 2 full boxes or units, and a half. So I count a half, 1, 2, and this is my B prime. And now I can connect the dots. And that would be the image using this angled or diagonal reflection line. And that's reflecting a line or a shape in a line, and how to find the line of reflection based on the rule that's given.